You talk to people. You laugh when you're supposed to. You reply to messages. You show up. But deep inside, something feels off. You don't feel connected. It's not loneliness in the obvious way. You're not always alone. You're just distant, even when you're surrounded by people. And the confusing part is this: you can't explain why. You start wondering, what's wrong with me? Why don't I feel close to anyone anymore? Why does everything feel surface level? This feeling doesn't appear suddenly. It builds quietly, over time. Disconnection usually begins as protection. At some point in your life, being emotionally open didn't feel safe. Maybe you weren't understood. Maybe you were dismissed. Maybe you felt ignored when you needed support the most. So your mind learned something important. Don't expect too much. Don't open up fully. Don't rely on anyone. Not consciously, but emotionally. Psychology calls this emotional withdrawal, when the nervous system reduces attachment to avoid disappointment. You still function socially, but you stop investing emotionally. You listen, but you don't share. You smile, but you don't feel seen. You're present, but guarded. And slowly, connection fades. Another reason you feel disconnected is emotional fatigue. You've spent too long being the strong one, the understanding one, the listener. When your emotional effort isn't returned, your system gets tired. Not physically, emotionally. So it shuts down access. Not because you don't care, but because caring started to hurt. That's why conversations feel draining. That's why small talk feels exhausting. That's why you prefer silence over interaction. Silence feels safer than unmet expectations. Disconnection can also come from suppressing emotions. When you don't express how you really feel, anger, sadness, disappointment, those emotions don't disappear. They turn inward. You become emotionally numb. Numbness isn't peace. It's your mind pressing pause to survive. And when you're numb, you can't fully connect, even if you want to. You may also feel disconnected because you've outgrown old versions of yourself. The things that once bonded you with people no longer resonate. Your values change. Your awareness deepens. Your tolerance for shallow energy decreases. So you don't feel aligned anymore. This doesn't mean you're better than others. It means you're different now. But without new emotional anchors, this growth feels like isolation. One of the most misunderstood parts of disconnection is that it often coexists with a desire for connection. You want closeness, but when it's available, you pull back. This inner conflict happens because your nervous system hasn't experienced safe connection in a long time. Safe connection doesn't require performance. It doesn't demand explanations. It doesn't make you feel like you have to be someone else. Until your system relearns that safety, it will choose distance even when closeness is possible. That's why silence feels comforting but heavy. Why being alone feels peaceful but empty. Why you crave connection but avoid vulnerability. This isn't because you don't need people. Humans are wired for connection. It's because your system is protecting you from emotional overload. Healing doesn't start by forcing yourself to socialize more. It starts by reconnecting with yourself, by acknowledging your emotions instead of minimizing them, by stopping the habit of pretending you're fine, by giving yourself permission to feel without judgment. When you stop abandoning yourself emotionally, your system begins to soften. And slowly, without forcing, you feel present again. Connection stops feeling like pressure. People stop feeling like noise. And interaction starts to feel natural. So if you feel disconnected from everyone, remember this: you're not antisocial. You're not broken. You're not empty. You adapted. You protected yourself. And once safety returns, connection follows.